reporter assigned at the Liberian Senate that there are confirmation hearings expected today. We understand that the Minister of Information designate, Jerolimic PI and others will be today going for confirmation hearing. So let's briefly speak with Samson David. He's on the line. Samson, good morning.
Good morning, Vasley, and let me say good morning to your listeners.
It's been a couple of days. We haven't heard, confirmation hearing, who's appearing. So today, Monday, who are those appearing for confirmation hearings?
Well, thank you, Vasley. As may be aware, has been done the bid for for almost a week now. Now being well begin, like you rightly said today. The Information Minister Deslate, Jerry Limek, Matthew Pia will be appearing and deputies will be appearing today for confirmation hearing before the Committee on Information and Broadcast. And that committee is tentatively the person currently coordinating the affairs of that committee is Senator Ibrahim Daros Dillon. According to our understanding, that position or that committee chair position has been is tentatively, being withheld and waiting for the election. The person who will be elected for a Nima County senatorial election, that person will chair that committee on information and broadcast. So today, the minister designated for information, culture and tourism, Jerry Limek Pia, will be appearing before the committee today.
Is he expected to appear along with deputies? I understand. I think there are 2 or 3 deputies appointed by the president. Deputy for technical services, and I think assistant minister for culture, something like that.
Yes. They will be appearing along with the Minister of Destiny to show their vision, to tell their vision to the Liberian people as it relates to what kinds of work are they going to do, how capable are they in terms of disseminating information for the Liberian government.
These confirmation hearings the only hearings for today?
Well, we have not gotten any detailed information concerning who will be coming next, but tentatively we hold on to what we have in our hands in terms of the only confirmation hearing we are aware of today is the confirmation hearing of the Information Minister designated and deputies. If there will be any other confirmation, that information will be tailored to our later.
Do we expect confirmations following hearings?
Well, information concerning confirmation hearing is
not the hearing, but that they've confirmed.
Yes, that is done every Tuesday and Thursday because that is the day we have plenary in section. Confirmation is held before plenary, so it cannot be done today. So if there will be any confirmation concerning those who have gone for or who have been going for confirmation hearing, that information will be disclosed tomorrow on Thursday.
Okay, something. Thank you very much. Keep an eye on what happens, because the Minister of Information is obviously the chair of the board for LBS.
Oh yes, indeed. He's definitely quite really he's chair of the board of the LBS Liberia Broadcasting System. So as we've been doing other confirmation hearings, the Liberia Broadcasting System have been doing everything possible in terms of bringing it live on television, social media, and also the radio. So I believe that will be done today with the help of the of the officer in charge, Madam Laura Brown, who's been calling for one place or another, calling reporters, calling everybody on detail to ensure that the right information is tailored to the Liberian people.
Okay, thank you so much. He's Samson David, our reporter there, signed at the Senate, disclosing the confirmation of the confirmation hearing of the Minister of Information and Culture. Be in conversation with Attorney Gerard Yekula. He's expect NAFA coming up. All these tenured institutions. The president is appointing people to these institutions, and CENTAR, as one of the leading civil society organizations, with transparency issue, they've been very vocal. They've issued a press statement, speaking against the appointment of, first of all, of these individuals to these tenured institutions. CENTAR is frowning on that, and they have series of recommendations to the president. And so Attorney Yekula and I will be looking into making sense of some of the arguments, and we also have the press conference from the legal advisor of the president, Councilor Buju Keita, that we'll be listening to, and also matching it with CENTAR's argument and see how we can forge ahead as our democracy flourishes. But Attorney Gerald Yekula, I'd like to say good morning and welcome again. You are on here, but we're talking mostly about your report from CENTAR. But good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Vavle. It's a pleasure to be in the studio. It's fast becoming a home.
Yeah. This is a second time. Anyway, but CENTAR is frowning on the appointments at tenured institutions. Why is CENTAR concerned?
Well, CENTAR is concerned for a number of reasons. Firstly, there are reasons why positions have tenures. Now, if you look at the history of tenure positions and some of the motivations, of course, there could be question marks, right, on why certain positions might be tenured in the first place. So then a government coming in might be tempted to say, well, we think there was some negotiation that went on and people went to the legislature and showed that the positions were couched in tenure, so we think we should move it. But even in that case, at CENTAR, we are saying the president cannot take the power onto himself to remove tenures from those kinds of positions. You still have to go to the legislature because they are the ones who gave those tenure to those different positions. Now, our particular concern here is the issue of integrity institutions. We believe that for no reason whatsoever we should have integrity institutions, being touched when it comes to the issue of tenure. Now, you can have your problem with national lottery. You can reason with the legislature to say, well, we don't think the lottery is tenure. You can go there and you can decide, say, well, let's get rid of tenure here. But when it comes to integrity institution, it is very important. These institutions are on the front line for the fight for transparency, the fight against corruption, and so there should be no reason why we should interfere with their own, political independence when it comes to how they operate as institutions that are meant to basically forward, the fight against corruption in the country. So basically, we found those look, Mr. President, the legislature has gone to work and has given tenures to certain positions. You cannot go ahead and just appoint people there. Now, tenured positions, one of the key things that I want across many of them or all of them is that they can be removal for cause. So, Mr. President,
that is established.
Yes.
Now let's come to the integrity institutions that you're talking about. What are they?
Oh, they will include the General Auditing Commission. They also include.
But the president didn't touch the GSE.
No, they also include the Governance Commission. It's a very key, fundamental part of.
No, but Anthony Yekula, let's establish that the president didn't appoint anybody to the GSE. No. For example, let's talk about the appointments.
Yes.
Did the president appoint anybody to integrity institution?
Well, the Governance Commission codifies to a certain great extent the Governance Commission as an integrity institution because it is necessarily responsible for how we can engineer the governance infrastructure. So the Governance Commission is one of those key institutions we think. I mean, over the last regime, of course, there's a way in which the Governance Commission was basically rubbish, and so its essence was not really felt, right? But over time, we've come to see most of these institutions we have now, they are a product of the Governance Commission. So it used to be the Governance Reform Commission, now on the Governance Commission. So the Governance Reform Commission was the first one that came into being, and it basically led or carved a strategy. It carved a strategy that brought, say, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to board. It brought, say, the AITR. So the Governance Commission was basically this institution that said, well, how can we drive governance in this country? Is there a need that will create, say, for example, an internal audit agency? Is there a need that will create, the Liberia Extractive Injustice for Transparency Initiative? Is there a need that will pass a Freedom of Information Act? So all through, the development of our governance process in this country, the Governance Commission has been that backbone and that driver, of our governance process.
Okay.
So we see it as a very key institution. So it's like a father of integrity institutions, if you want to put it that way.
Okay.
And so when we see things happening, of course, the point of, well, I heard the legal advisor to the president say, well, we have evidence that people were involved in political campaigning. If you understand, the current chair of the commission, we found on the current chair of the commission when he was appointed by the CDC as a deputy campaign manager, when he was involved with campaigning, we frown on that. But even as we frown, even as we are vexed, the reason why we have laws and institutions is because they tend to manage us, right? So that we don't have strong men.
Okay. So let's first of all inform our listeners that these are institutions honor tenure statute that the president appointed individuals to: the LTA, Liberia Communication Authority, the Governance Commission, the National Lottery Authority, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Identification Registry, and all that. The legal advisor argument is that, and you agree that under Article 56 of the Constitution, all those serving in the executive serve at the will and pleasure of the president. That is established. Now, if the president deems it necessary that he doesn't have confidence in you to serve at his will and pleasure, doesn't have a way of removing you since he's not satisfied with you?
Yes, I mean, it's a good question, but I'm not sure.
But the Constitution is the supreme organ.
Yes.
Of everything, code of conduct, whatsoever.
Yes. And I'm not sure that's the proper interpretation of the Constitution. You know that under the Constitution, that positions that are protected by that tenure that are protected, right? So they'll say, for example, the judges, for example, they have tenures on tenure.
Yeah, the neck.
Well, we'll come to neck. But the judges, for example, they are protected. The lawmakers, they have 6 years, 9 years. All of those are protected, right? Now, on the Article 54 you are talking about, Article 54 is clear. It says, for example, cabinet ministers, ambassadors, all of those serve at the will and pleasure of the president. Now, to the neck you are coming about now. After the Constitution names in Article 54 the likes of the cabinet ministers, assistant ministers, and ambassadors, and consuls, it comes, or the chief of staff, it comes to Article 89 and says, well, we now establish autonomous agencies, blah, 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 including the National Elections Commission, right? Including the Civil Service Agency, including the General Auditing Commission. Is it?
Yeah. The GSC.
It lists those three.
Yeah.
Then it says below in the same article that the legislature will further create other agencies and prescribe for their operations. Now, the argument here basically is that all of the subsequent, so the legislature has that power. We, the people, gave the legislature that power to create agencies and to allow for how they operate. And this finds backing in Article 89. So when the legislature creates agencies, it could decide, well, to put it under the whims of the president, as Article 54 provides. It could decide that no, because of the nature and because we have the power given to us by the people through the Constitution, we could decide to leave it and place it out of the reach of the president and then provide for 10 years. Because if you look at the argument, right, some people want to rely on, say, some people might think, okay, there's the NEC that is protected, there's the GSC that is protected, there's the CSA that is protected because they're in the Constitution. No. Those are not protected, and I made the argument before, because those institutions are only created by a single line in the Constitution. Yeah, hereby created. Yeah,
but they are offspring of the Constitution.
Yes, but it just says you're hereby created. It doesn't say how many persons should serve on a NEC, for example. So it is the same legislature that goes to work and now say, look, NEC, you have 7 commissioners. It is the same legislature that goes to work and say, the chair of the commission will have this time to serve. It is seen in legislature. So in other words, the constitution is basically not so clear. It's kind of weak in that aspect, and it still gives the legislature this power, even as much as those institutions I've mentioned. But the legislature basically that creates this.
So what is the argument? The president should do what?
Well, the argument basically is that the first thing we must establish is that these institutions are not the institutions that for honor, will, and pleasure. The first basic, this is the thing to establish first.
Which institutions?
The ones we are talking about now. All
the
of the ones, yes.
Nobody, the LTA?
Yeah, so I'm saying, yeah, those ones are not the will and pleasure because Article 89 says the legislature will create these institutions and will provide for how they are governed, right? So if the legislature goes to work and say, look, as per our constitutional power to create institutions and provide for how they are governed, we are not going to make them to be under the reach of the president by will and pleasure, and they do not do that and they give them tenure, it cannot fall part of those institutions that conform to the will and pleasure of the president. Of course, they could create other institutions and say we're not giving you tenure and we are going to put you directly under the presidency and the president can hire and fire. But whenever the legislature says that we're not going to do that, the president cannot claim that because the legislature, by enacting them, will be saying which ones they think, given how they are supposed to run, will be under the will and pleasure, and which one will require other processes to be able to remove them. So that's the thing we want to establish. The subsequent institutions that are created, they are not under the whims. So of course, they could be if the legislature so provides in the act. Now, in order to do it, of course, there have been during the last regime. There were attempts. For me, as Senator, we don't believe that all of these institutions necessarily have to be tenured, right? On the last regime, there were back and forth whether there should be tenure for NASCO, for example, or there should be tenure anywhere, whether there's lobby here and there, people arguing. All of those went on. There could be a reasonable basis to say, well, we don't think these people have tenure, but these institutions or these offices need tenure, require tenure. So to be able to do that, legally, as a country of law, it would be to go back to the legislature because they are the ones who did it and say, well, Mr. President, who believe that maybe national law should not be to your will and pleasure, right?
So, Anthony Yekula, we'll come there. Now, I want us to be specific.
Okay.
And I want us to be specific with the recent appointments by the president to these institutions, the LTA, the Governance Commission, the National Lottery Authority, Identification Registry, all these institutions that you, Center, have come up with a statement, fronting at, first of all, the appointments. But let's understand that these institutions, they are part of the executive. And the Constitution says that those serving in the executive serve at the will and pleasure of the president. And the code of conduct also spell out that if you violate the code of conduct, specifically if you are under the statute of tenure and you violate the code of conduct, maybe by publicly campaigning, getting involved into political activities, you can be removed. And I'm reading from your press conference. You said, first of all, the president should have established the office of the ombudsman because that's the processes of the code of conduct on how to remove the people. That's Center's argument. Establish the office of the ombudsman, appoint the ombudsman, and give these people due process. Is that true? That's Center's argument, essentially.
Yes. So essential argument is that there should be due process, right?
Due process.
Because there should be removal for cause. Now, the way we remove people for cause is not an issue of others. We're going to determine that there's a cause. There must be a reasonable procedure to follow. Now, we reckon, of course, that these laws are weak in certain respects. All right. If you look at the LACC law that was passed in 2022, it's a much stronger law because it has been tested. It came after a longer period of time and it realized that there were some gaps. So it tried to strengthen it. The LACC law it gives different reasons why people can be removed, including for cause. It also says in terms of incapacity, it could be removed. It's clear on some other issues. But then it says the president must consult with the legislature before he can be removed. So that law is very clear. It says we recognize that the other 10 new laws are being given, it could be abused somehow. So because of that, in this new LACC law, though he can be removed by the president, but the president must consult the legislature before he can be removed.
But it doesn't apply to all of the institutions that have been appointed.
No, it doesn't apply. So one of the points we are making is, Mr. President, you are basically you are the one coming now with not doing business as usual. You are coming to do things differently. So we must be able to learn from best practices, right? We shouldn't see, because many of these laws are in a very nature meant to stifle the fight against corruption. So we shouldn't come and see, some of them, the loopholes that are in them, and start to capitalize on those loopholes. We are coming to do things differently. Then we must say, what is the best procedure? So it's not, and even if you look at the way the laws are, you say remove for cause, even though it doesn't say you must establish a committee, or you must go to the ombudsman, or you must go to the legislature. But just by saying remove for cause, any reasonable mind will want to believe and understand that removal of a cause, that cause has to be established. And as a country, even Article 28 of the Constitution of Liberia, it says that you cannot deprive one of liberty, right, or privilege without a due process, right? So in this case, I mean, the argument is made that okay, the right, no one has a right to a government position, right? No one has a right to be, say, LTA commissioner, right? But we can consider that as a privilege. So if we go back to the Constitution again, it says you cannot deprive this man of this privilege without an due process. So what I would think necessarily will be, I mean, the legal advisor cannot just be saying, "Oh, we have the evidence." Under the law, even if you went in the room and you saw a man with the knife in his hand stabbing, the reason you have to go to court and prove all of that is because there must be due process. You must give this man an opportunity, to hear from him. So what I would think would be very appropriate under the circumstances would be for the president to say, okay, we've seen you, the cause here we are establishing is you are involved in political activities. Now, mind you, even the code of conduct, some of the weaknesses in the code of conduct is the fact that it says you should not engage in political campaigning and all of those things. But what does it say? The ombudsman will be there, and the ombudsman will cite it, for violations. And when there are violations, the ombudsman will do some report and give it to the LSCC. It's still weak in a way. So we are saying, okay, since the law is not as perfect as it is, can we have, since the law that you depend on say remove a cause, can we have the ombudsman, for example, established so that the ombudsman can find this cause, call the person in and say, look, you were involved with campaign activities. What do you say about it? And then we see the GC Act, for example, says you must be non-partisan, but we'll see here that you are appointed. So there has to be that process. It cannot just be, arbitrary. But
the legal advisor's argument here is it will be a waste of time establishing the office of the ombudsman. So if we were told not to cause noise in the classroom, and the teacher left, the class, and the principal came and saw us causing noise, should we wait that the teacher, because the teacher didn't see us causing noise, it means that we didn't cause noise? So he is saying that we have the evidence that you violated, especially those who violated. They tell you, that you will go to court. We have our evidence. We'll adduce our evidence in court. And is there an opinion, a Supreme Court opinion, about the setting of ombudsman?
Yes,
there isn't.
Yeah, there is.
No, the opinion there is you should go back and have what we call the sanctity of contract. That is, pay these people off, especially the ones that have time left on the tenure.
No, I mean, you're right in some respects.
Yeah, because the Supreme Court has rendered two opinions in this whole tenure saga.
Yeah, but you're right in some respects. But the question of tenure, or the question of the ombudsman, like the question you're asking about Supreme Court opinion, yes, there are opinions of the Supreme Court. If you take, for example, the Paulson Mappé case, those cases were basically cases on the code of conduct, right? They were saying, whether someone should resign 2 years after election, blah, blah, blah. So Supreme Court is saying basically that, yes, these violations, so if you don't resign, it's a violation. 2 years is a violation of the code of conduct, right? So we're going to say in those opinions that you rendered that we need the ombudsman to be established because the ombudsman has the authority to be able to go after those violations. Similarly, if there's a violation of the code of conduct vis-a-vis political campaigning, you could infer from those opinions. The people have said that there was a violation, not resigning. So see those opinions the need to set up the ombudsman for other violations. So yes, that point is very clear. The Supreme Court has said the need, and it's very frustrating that we don't have ombudsman established. So the point is, there has to be this procedure. We cannot be, as a country of law, we cannot be dodging things. Oh, wasting time. What is the wasting time? Now, if you realize now, there's the latest development I heard this morning or even over the weekend, is that the president is now saying, okay, Okay, in fact, even on Friday night, the executive mansion released a statement that they are going to review the whole issue of the tenure and how they are
Yeah,
working.
you said there's a committee set
Set
up
up exactly.
to advise the president
Yeah,
accordingly.
exactly. Now we're hearing again through this legal advisor that they are going to do a bill to the legislature
To remove all tenure positions.
to remove all tenures. So you see the point.
But that bill was there. That bill was there. It was previously submitted by the previous government.
Yes.
For whatever reason, both houses passed it. But for whatever reason, it was not signed into law. Is it anti good governance if you remove tenure positions?
I mean, for us, our issue is particularly for integrity institutions. You don't want to have and then there's a question about these people being under the will and pleasure of the president and the executive. There are certain institutions that any scholars are arguing now whether there's a possible fourth branch of government that is somewhere in between. Because if you really look at our Liberian situation, let's assume, and we agree with you for argument's sake, that all of these institutions are under the will and pleasure of the president, they are in the executive. But look at the General Auditing Commission. They are appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate, or they don't report to the president. They report to the legislature. So if they were actually under the will and pleasure of the president, as to say in the fullest sense of the word, then they should be reporting to the president. But no, they report to the legislature. So it tells you that there are certain institutions by their very nature.
No, I was having conversation with the legal advisor. He is saying that institutions like the GSE, NEC, that have constitutional offsprings, they will not be touched.
No, but
tenure-wise, they will not be touched.
Well, you cannot say that. I mean, you could decide in the law to not touch them. But I'm telling you here that the Constitution is weak when it comes to those institutions. It when it says you are hereby established, it doesn't say you have tenure. Do you see that? It is the legislature that went to work and say, look, in as much as the legislature creates the GSE,
it's still not strong.
It's not strong. So it's the legislature that decides that we will give you tenure. It's not the Constitution. The Constitution only says we see the need to create.
So the same legislature can manipulate.
Exactly, and that is the point we're making. Even in the first place, when the Supreme Court agreed that that the legislature had a right to remove things from the LCC, the point we make at center and all of our arguments we're making, and I even made that point when I did my thesis, is that by doing that, you are telling the legislature that you can wake up one morning and now dissolve the NEC because the NEC is created by law, even though it's mentioned in the Constitution, but it's created by an act. Creating the new elections law. It says there will be an NEC and it will have the 5 commissioners, and the commissioner will be this. So since those offices are an offspring of legislative creation, by the reasoning, by part of reasoning from the Supreme Court, the legislature can wake up one morning and say, look, NEC Act is hereby revoked or amended.
So what do you want happen? That the Constitution be amended and what is specified from legislatively be deferred.
Exactly, and that's my point
to the Constitution.
My point now is the point we've been making since all of our arguments has been: can we entrench certain institutions constitutionally so that we don't have the point where the president will go one morning and say, "Oh, these people they are part of Article 54, so I can move them." Right? So certain institutions must be constitutionally grounded sufficiently. There's an attempt to ground the GSE in the Constitution, but it is not really grounding because they are still created. So the same way we are able to provide for other offices like the judiciary in the Constitution, there has to be that constitutional amendment. That's the only way. That's the only greater solution. But again, the process of amendment here to have all of these institutions in the Constitution and being very solidified, I mean, it's a longer process. So we're not going to be wishful and be say, oh, let's amend it. Well, it's not going to happen now. So what we have now, how can we manage with what we have? And it's the same as the president. You are the president who has come with this, grand vision to have transparency, moving the country. We should not look at the weakness in the law, the weak laws, and say, oh, because this other law does not say I should consult the legislature, so let's go ahead and do it. If there are other institutions that you think don't require tenure, go back to the legislature. I mean, and then it will remove the tenure. But we are saying, in a very sense of it, when it comes to integrity institutions, we don't know the reasoning behind the other ones getting tenures. There will be other valid reasons. Your legal advisors go there, you can go and argue, we can debate, they have sessions around it. When it comes to integrity institutions, like the LACC.
But Attorney Yekula, if you read the psychology of the executive right now with the whole tenure thing, you will realize that there is a trust issue. There is a trust issue with these people who participated actively into the elections, took side. The president even though they enjoy, the tenure, but the president does not trust them, to be an active player, to be active players into his government. And I mean, you can agree with him. You can agree with him because he wants his government to succeed, and you can have people in your cycle that were very active, knowingly disregarded, that they are under this tenure statute, but yet still violated as per the code of conduct, violated and actively campaign against his vision. Doesn't he have because that's politics? That's a political aspect, and politics is not religious. So you have to understand.
We're not talking religion.
Yeah, you have to understand his argument as well.
No, I mean, what is his argument, right? The point will be, do we?
Because there is a trust issue.
Yeah, it's a trust issue. So the point will be, what is the process of removal? So if we know that there's an ombudsman that should be created, since the presidential lifetime, the ombudsman was not created, we are giving not created the ombudsman. Now, Baga will not create an ombudsman again. So we say, we don't want to waste time. So let's go straight and let's go and take it from there and say, no, we don't do that. The law says you must be removed for cause. It doesn't say you must be removed by appointment. What we're saying basically is the president is moving by appointment because they are in a position to say, we appoint somebody there. So we won't have the situation now where there's one Kamo sitting now doing a weird regime, and we are going to have appoints Gabriel Yinka. And that's the situation we are going to be seeing. Because if I'm in my office and I remove him for cause, and you remove him by appointment, I'm going to say, no, I must be removed back for cause. So the same thing that happened when the WIA regime, where we have people sitting in different places, the same issue politically. I mean, who defines that? That's why the reason why we have tenures is because we don't want to have the situation where the president comes and says, I don't like that. Well, is it trust or I don't like them? It's the whole issue of
there are more tenure crafted under the past government. More tenures. I mean, lottery tenure.
Even lottery was not even WIA. Lottery came to WIA because one of the cases that went to the court.
So how many tenure did WIA create?
I mean, I've not really followed on most of them. I mean, I see.
But tenure already wasted.
Yeah, there were questions about what should even carry it to NASCOP. There were many of those things happening. Maritime, and all of those things. So I kept the point. My point is, as in that we're not in the business of maritime. You understand? So we don't. Maritime people can come and talk for the maritime and say, well, the reason why we need maritime tenure is because we think the person needs to ensure that the Liberia is at the second, is a major registry for ship around it. Well, they can come and tell you the reason why. But as center, we believe that tenure is for integrity institutions, right? There could be
as far as we are concerned, that the president has not touched any of these integrity institutions, especially the ones that have constitutional offspring.
No, but then if he touches these ones, there can be no reason why he cannot touch the other ones. Because all of them,
whether you judging him for something he hasn't done.
No. If he touches this one, they are all on a tenure. And now you are saying that they are even to further that motive and further what they have, they are going to now carry a bill because now they realize that they are proceeding unlawfully because the president does not have power to remove tenures only as for without cause. So the best way is to go to the legislature and remove all the tenures, and like you said, only those who will be in the constitution. The NSCC is not mentioned in the constitution, so that means if they're going to further the issue of removing tenures through the bills, they're going to remove it from the NSCC. So that's the point we are making. They're going to remove from the NSCC, or remove from the IA, and all of those integrity institutions that have tenure. They only leave maybe the NEC and the CSA and the GSC that's mentioned in the constitution. So then it brings us to the same point. So it's sort of what is happening here is that we are it's a presaging, advocates that presages the next step of the president, because we allow the president to do this here. The same 20 positions here tomorrow. Tomorrow the president comes out tomorrow and say you're moving NSCC on a 10, who cannot come and say, oh, Mr. President, you're moving NSCC on a 10 because what were you? And we're removing the ones where they run from the GC, from the telecommunication, all of them are protected by tenure. So the point is the rationality around tenure can always be argued. They can go to the legislature and decide to remove some of those ones, right? But when it comes to integrity institutions, we are very clear. The other ones that are not
integrity. When you say integrity institutions, who are those that Senta is referencing?
I mean, if you go for example in the national budget, they have sections called transparency and accountability. On a particular sector, you'll find the GCs of the world, you'll find the area TLs of the world, you'll find the GAC, you'll find the LSCC, the Internal Audit Agency, the Financial Intelligence Unit. These are all integrated institutions that are
so entire argument that should be protected.
Yes, National Elections Commission is part of that as part of that arrangement also. So our point is these institutions need to be protected, and there's a reason why. We are interested in their protection because they have to be independent. You don't want to have, the president. So, okay, if the president doesn't trust them, do we not say if the president comes and appoints somebody in a position, he's going to work at the way and pleasure of the president? That would be another argument. Okay, so you don't trust the president as to be at the SEC, right? Because, quote unquote, you think they're appointed by another president. But the reason why we have the tenure position is because we don't want you to come and appoint another person there too, and the person be operating according to your whims and caprices. So there's a thinking around this whole thing about tenure and how we can protect it, so that we sort of insulate them against the presidential powers that will tend to affect their functions. So we think that with these integrated institutions, there has to be a protection for them. And if the president thinks that other people are abusing their tenures, or even integrated institution people are abusing their tenures, it's not a straight blanket thing. Once you establish a cause, they can be removed. But they say you must remove for cause. So to remove the person for cause, you must establish a cause, then you remove them. But you cannot remove the person without a cause. You cannot remove the person by appointment. Where is the cause? Have the cause.
What if your evidence shows enough?
Well, I believe you can remove the person. I mean, I believe that's why I think there has to be this process. The process whereby
so the first your argument is to test your evidence. Test your evidence.
Yeah.
Through due process.
Due process, and we don't necessarily believe that due process has to be through court. All right. The due process will mean we want to hear from you. Because even, for example, if you are working in an organization, right? You are employed for LBS, for example, and maybe you have a certain regulation that you cannot say this on the air. If you do this in an air, it appears as if you are breaking a moral and professional ethics. They must call Vavle into the board, maybe of the institution, say maybe if there's a grievance committee, you must call Vavle and say, Vavle, you're on the radio on Monday and you said this, we believe this. How do you say what they just said? Give Vavle the opportunity to be able to be able to say his half the story. Then the relevant committee look at what he has said and what he has done vis-a-vis what the law or the ethics says, and be able to run our decision. But not just the director general that say, I heard you on the radio the other day, and what I think you broke your professional ethics, so you are no longer a newscaster or a broadcaster on our program.
Yeah, but what I do think is Senta is afraid of something that hasn't been done.
Well, you could say that. We are telling you also that things have been done. And what has been done is the law is being broken, because the law says remove for cause. And people have been removed without this, cause being established. So we need, as a country of the law, there has to be the causes established, and it cannot be established just by the legal advisor of the president say, we have the evidence. Where is the evidence? Where is the report, for example? All right. Assuming I was not in the country. Assuming I was somewhere studying, doing elections. I didn't see Garrison Yelu wearing party t-shirt. But show me the cause. There's Garrison Yelu. He was doing this, he was appointed. Show the report that says it. And even go further and say we call him in. But you cannot say I have the evidence. All of this, if you say all of these institutions were involved, I mean, so far, and I can tell you, because that's what we followed. I followed Garrison GAC, he was involved. But tell me about LTC. I didn't follow those people.
Yeah, right? There were some commissioners there were active.
Some. So I mean, and then there were many of them. I think all of them were in place. So if it's just some, that means others were not active. Because if they're all of them and some were active, and that means some were not active. So then how are the others being affected by appointments to those positions? So since I was not following, and it was you, the journalist,
like I said, there is a trust issue here.
No. So it cannot be easy. So if you want to deal with trust issues, if France want to deal with the trust issue, you cannot find the tenure you have behind the tenure. So the issue is you say these people are involved in political activity, because they say remove for cause. Trust issue is not part of the cause. If the trust issue,
but they serve at the will and pleasure of the president. If the president is not satisfied with you serving at his will and pleasure, what does he do?
Well, you see, you're taking us back about it. I thought we crossed that point when we
said, but we crossed the point.
We said this is an institution.
But it's one of the pillars of the legal advisor's argument.
But his argument is maybe flawed. We told you that when the legislature goes ahead and creates an institution and say, look, It is not on the whims and the caprices of will and pleasure of the president. It is not on. So you cannot be forcing it in a paradigm of will and pleasure. If they create an LBS and say no tenure and the president can hire and fire, that is a prerogative. They do it, and so it is. It is so, and the president can go ahead. But if they say, look, this is a tenure position and he must be removed for cause, then that cause must be established. What are the person that other tenure positions that provide, for example, the person has mental incapacity.
Yeah, but what if you've been accused of violating your tenure statute?
Mhm.
What if you go to court? Then I use my evidence. I think this is where the play is. So the legal advisor, the president, the executive, they sit back, they take the action. You are the victim, go to court. You go to court, then we come there and adduce our evidence. Now, by saying that, let's just listen to the legal advisor argument, particularly on that aspect of the whole tenure thing, when he addressed the press over the weekend.
Legal advisor to the president of Liberia. I have come to just brief you on a decision reached by the cabinet at the first cabinet meeting of the new government, which was held, which is still ongoing, in fact, because we didn't want to keep people here all day, so we had to prioritize talking to you. The decision is this: with regard to those positions that were established by statutes as tenured positions in government, agencies, commissions, and specialized organizations. Tenured positions. For example, you are there for 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. The cabinet has decided that those tenured positions violate Article 56A of the Liberian Constitution, which says that everybody who works in the executive branch of government serves at the pleasure of the president. Therefore, the cabinet has authorized the president, and it has been concluded as a government policy that all of those cabinet tenured positions that are in government will be replaced. That the president will exercise his authority to appoint people to any position in the executive branch of government, whether the person has a tenure or not, except for those positions that are protected by the Constitution of Liberia. If the tenure was created by statute, it is the position of the government that it violates Article 56A, that specifically states that all of those in the executive branch of government must serve at the pleasure of the president. Now, let me quickly add this. The Liberian Supreme Court has ruled in 2 major cases: Martin Sally Colley versus executive branch, and the LCC case, the constitutionality of Article 16.1 and 16.2 of the new LCC Act. In those 2 cases, the Supreme Court held that the tenure are contracts, and that those contracts must be respected in keeping with Article 25 of the Constitution. Therefore, for all of those tenure positions, they are considered contracts for a definite period, contracts for a fixed period. And in all such instances where there's an employer and employee relationship established and there is an unexpired portion of the contract, the Supreme Court has held, and we agree, that those holding tenured positions should be compensated for the unexpired term of their tenure. For example, you went there in 20.
So Anthony, I think you followed the basis of his argument. First of all, he was communicating the cabinet's decision to remove tenured positions. He was communicating that. Then the other basis of his argument is these tenures, they are contracts. that to expire to last for a certain length of time. Now, if your term has not expired and the president deems it necessary to remove you, you can be compensated for the remainder of your contract. Isn't that fair enough?
Thank you, Vavli. The first thing, if you listen to the audio, he's saying the cabinet authorized the president. I found that very strange. The ministers authorized the president to.
No, it is a policy decision.
Okay, a policy decision. Yes, but that's the point. Yeah. And you see, this very scary. Now you get the point why you see Sinta is talking. So the president has not gone to protect institutions. He tells you that all tenure positions are created by statute. It's the decision of the cabinet that they are going to remove all of them. Now, do we ask ourselves whose institutions whose tenures are created by statute? Elections Commission is created by statute. You go in elections law, it tells you that there will be commissioners and will have tenure, so that tenure is created by statute. Library Anti-Corruption Commission, created by statute. So he's telling you that we are going to remove tenure from the Library Anti-Corruption Commission. And all these positions, aside from, say, the judges, because when it's in the institutions that have tenure position within the Constitution, will be the judges and all of those people, the judges, the senators, and the president and vice president. Other than that, the legal advisor is telling them that we'll remove tenure from all of these positions. So now, I mean, where are we going? Are we saying that we have been wrong in this country? Or that, but the good thing is, I can tell you, Pablo, is that they realize that they cannot do it the way they were doing it. And so they are going to go to the legislature. Now, we are going to see now with our men and women on Capitol Hill where they are going, because it's not the president.
No, there will obviously be amendment to whatever bill that goes there.
Oh, you don't trust the people?
There were amendments
before.
Yeah, when the former president submitted that scrapping tenure positions. Yeah, it was the House of Representatives made some inputs, sent to the Senate. The Senate made their inputs and sent to the president for whatever reason, probably because the inputs made by the legislature, both houses of the legislature, they didn't conform with his plan, with the tenure. So it was not signing the law.
Great. So at some point there was some disagreement.
Yes.
So we pray that there will be disagreement this time around. Because I mean, for us, we have utmost confidence in this legislature, and that's why we've seen some of the things that they have done over time. We think we have confidence that they will be able to use, they are elected by Liberian people to do their principal job. And that's the reason why they have this immense power to create institutions and give them tenure. Now, what the president is basically telling the lawmakers is that, look, all of the people you give tenures to, including the LACC, the GSC, the NEC, take tenures from them. And you are telling me that you think that this will pass by the what happened before that you are alluding to. The president was not saying she move tenure from NEC and all of this. I don't know what issue was Central Bank in other places, IRA and other places, but it was not as widespread as all tenure positions. Now, what President Boubacar hopes to do is to say, look, legislature will move it from all tenure positions, including the Central Bank.
You haven't seen a draft bill. Draft. No, you haven't seen the draft of the bill.
Did he not hear him? He said it's a policy decision. He said the cabinet has authorized the president.
But I think he was not detailed enough as to how the bill will be structured.
Well, it's a summary. He says that it's a cabinet policy decision that all positions which are product of statute, all tenures that are product of statute, will be scrapped. So he's telling the legislature, look, you gave the LSCC tenure, scrap it. And somebody wants to convince me that the legislature, those people we have elected, will have utmost confidence in. The fifth legislature, now they will agree with the president and they should scrap tenures. I mean, and that's how we'll be here. If the legislature attempts to do that again, you'll see us on the radio.
Let's hear from people how the public feels. Call us on 080514096, 080514096. Let's hear from this person here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Jim. I'm calling from dance.
Let's hear you quickly. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to your studio guest. I think probably if you listen to the legal advisor to the president, It's not because the first thing is you are telling us that the cabinet authorized. Because I think the president is the one that should be authorizing the cabinet, but rather the cabinet authorizing the president to start all. He didn't say certain, but he said all, apart from those that are within the constitution. So the procedure is wrong. Let's be honest.
Okay.
I think the people from Central will soon start calling you opposition. Thank you very much.
People got it, and I'm sure the president respects freedom of expression. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, BLBC. And let me say good morning, Mama Liberia.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's the name?
Okay. I'm Ramsey Joseph, and I do join you from district number 5, Montserrat. Look, my brother, the decisions of the president were not wrong in the sense that those training positions, in the constant habit, since they know that some of them are incendiaries, nobody will touch them, and one of you, the president running campaign, you'll see all of them in a party t-shirt, violating the constitution. And secondly, some of them will be in opposition. They will not do nothing for the Liberians. They have to come on the radio to disturb, to talk, PPT, and one of you. Some of them in those training positions, just see them taking one, or a private project to say, I'm doing this, we're doing this, and one of you. Corruption has stripped the whole country. And those that the public appointing, they are all Liberians. So let's give them chance and see what they will do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Babylon.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me say good morning to the brother for Central. This is Abu Bawa Poli from Sunday Street. The chairman for the plan for the Famuma.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now, Babylon, you see on the radio, I've been very confused about the president. Last time when whoever get confused, but you are just confused more. And you put it clearly to him, my brother. Just government to move forward, have to go in front. If somebody in position will act just.
That's the point. That's the point. And the people are in flagrant violation of the code of conduct.
They say continue. Because other people have to be there. Are you saying? Everybody call and pay them off. You know, John said.
Okay. Yeah. No. For the ones who didn't violate the code of conduct, but they still have contract. Listen, but the ones who didn't violate the code of conduct but still have years, 1 or 2 ahead, they are protected under the sanctity of contract. They'll give them something. But the ones who violated the code of conduct flagrantly, no. Thank you. Let's hear from this person. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Jonathan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning, Vavle, and good morning to the councillor. I want the councillor to check in the law from power where the law sees that particular if it's necessary and you perform well for Nava. We all know Emma Glass couldn't all your campaign. They all know. But they should not be saying in studio pretending that they didn't see the people who parted t-shirt.
Okay.
They're wrong. They have made it fast. We saw the people.
Okay. So you can respond to some of the concerns now. I think Central is biased. So in a whole release that Central released, he didn't see a condemnation of these violators. Central didn't condemn them.
No, but the question was not about the violators at that point. The question was about the action of the president.
What precipitated the action?
When the president even appointed, he didn't say he was appointing people there because they violated. It was after the appointment, and there were concerns before you hear the legal advisor come in and say, "Oh, we have evidence." So you see how things are happening retroactively. So the laws are remove for cause, and then you appoint. Now the procedure to appoint. So which will be which will be deducing now, and that's how we even try to deduce in our statement that Maybe it was because of the issue of violations, but there was nothing in the executive management press release that said there were violations. Now, the point of paying off, I must tell you that in 2018, there's a settled law in this country. In 2018, there was someone sitting at the National Lottery Authority, one Martin Sally Colley, and the president appointed somebody to the National Lottery Authority to go and serve. That matter went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court opined basically that the president had no authority to remove somebody who was in tenure. So it's not a question of paying somebody off. It's a question of, can you remove the person in the first place? It's not a question of, because tenure has certain things that go along with it.
No, but it's part of the settlement. It's
No,
part
so
of the law.
That one is no. It's not part of the law.
It's the same as hearing what the law says.
No, it's not part of the law. Now, when it came to the issue of Clark Martin at the LACC, the Supreme Court said, well, the person that gave it to you, and that's what President Baka seeks to do now, is the legislature will give you the tenure. They took it from you. So if they took it from you, the only thing is, since they signed contract with you that you're supposed to be for X amount of time, then they got to pay you off. But the issue of the tenure as in all of its protections, if the legislature give it to you and remove it, is removed. The only thing is, because there's a labor law element or contract element, they will pay you off. So these are two different things. Now, in the current dispensation, of course, I mean, if I'm the commissioner at LTA, I think I could even feel that I don't want to work with President Baka. So President Baka forced me to work with him. So if the government comes to me and say, well, okay, if you don't, all those tenure positions or officials that think, well, they don't want to work and you come, it will pay you off. It can happen, right? But it's not in the place of the government to say they will remove you, and because it will pay you off. No, the tenure is protected, and so you cannot use the issue of paying off as a basis to remove people. That has to be negotiated if the people want it. If they don't want it, you don't have any legal basis to do it.
Okay, Attorney Yekula, we have to end there, but I thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
You're most welcome, my brother.
Well, he's Attorney Gerard Yekula from Central, Program Manager, Central. My name is Vafle Kamara. Join me tomorrow for another presentation of the Super Morning Show. Bye-bye.